Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, are Kentuckians putting the COVID-19 pandemic behind them? We have some survey results that show how the Commonwealth may be moving forward. And President Biden signs legislation into law protecting same-sex and interracial marriages.
And yet more showers and storms are in the forecast, and they could move in as soon as tonight. That breakdown ahead as Mountain News at 5:30 starts right now.
Dedicated to Southern and Eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. A powerful storm system moving into the region is bringing the potential for heavy rain to the mountains. That's why we've declared a first alert weather day. Meteorologist Evan Hatter has the very latest. Evan.
Well, Steve, we're watching showers beginning to move closer and closer to the mountains as we head through the nighttime hours tonight. Until then, we're actually looking okay. In fact, here's the view from UVA-wise. Beautiful sunset in progress there in Southwest Virginia. Mid-40s, the current temperature there. Same thing in Slade as we're overcast but dry on the Wolf-Powell County line at this hour. But look at the current temperatures. You see the contrast. We're in the 40s off to the north. Middle 50s further off to the south and west. That's that warmer and more humid air continuing to push into the region. Plus the clouds. That hasn't helped temperatures throughout the northeastern part of the area in any way, shape, or form so far. We'll continue to watch just some scattered showers work toward the region. You see, they're nearing the boot heel of Missouri, so we will continue to watch the progress of these showers through the night. If you don't have it already, download that WYMT First Alert weather app. You'll get the latest updates from us as we get them. Of course, obviously alerts straight to your phone if one is issued for your location. You open it up, you look at the forecast tonight. You see most of us dry through part of the night, but those shower chances increase toward daybreak. The latest on when we could see a return to some soggy conditions in a few minutes. Steve?
All right, Evan, thank you. We are learning more about what Kentuckians think about COVID-19 vaccinations thanks to new data from the Foundation for a Healthy Kentucky. It shows Kentuckians are not letting the pandemic get in the way of their holiday season. Jim Stratman breaks down the report.
In a few months' time, we'll mark the second anniversary of Kentucky's first COVID-19 case. Nearly 3 years on from that moment, surveyors say that Kentuckians are putting the pandemic behind them.
Kentuckians are, I think, as a general matter, determined that this pandemic is over.
The data from polling that was compiled by the Foundation for a Healthy Kentucky says 58% of Kentuckians say the pandemic is over in their lives. 60% said that COVID-19 won't impact their holidays, and many are prepared to live that way. Experts say you can live that way and still stay safe.
Masking, vaccinating, testing.
Cassie Prather heads the Woodford County Health Department. Woodford ranks second in the state for highest vaccination rate, but Prather says it's about more than that.
Not only is our vaccine rate one of the highest, our death rate is one of the lowest. COVID's not new anymore. There's so many therapeutics that we have now. Testing is widely available. I don't think that we will see an increase quite like we have seen before.
Prather says that her community has taken the message of how to fight COVID to heart and realize that it's a continuous battle.
We're going to always see waves with all respiratory illnesses, especially in the fall and winter months.
We want to put a fine point on it, and that fine point is it really makes a great deal of difference if you get vaccinated. If you get vaccinated and if you do the other things that can protect you.
Reporting in Lexington, Jim Stratman, WKYT.
The survey showed that 65% of Kentuckians thought getting vaccinated should be a personal choice, and just more than 50% said that they would very likely get regular COVID boosters if they were recommended as annual shots. The company Detect is voluntarily recalling more than 11,000 COVID tests because of an increased risk of false negatives. The test is an over-the-counter nasal swab. The 3 lots of tests were shipped to customers from July 26th to August 26th. Detect says it has not received any reports of false negatives, and the recall is being done out of an abundance of caution. Detect is offering a refund for the affected tests. You can find more information on the Food and Drug Administration's website. Despite the threat of a triple threat of viruses swirling around the U.S., vaccination rates are down. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says it would like to have 70% of Americans get a flu shot by the end of the decade. However, less than 50% of the U.S. has gotten an annual flu shot during the last 10 years. Officials say vaccine fatigue is a factor and that some people have let their guard down since the end of the pandemic. COVID-19 boosters are also falling. Less than 1 out of every 7 eligible for a booster shot have rolled up their sleeves. President Biden signed legislation into law protecting same-sex and interracial marriages. Congress sprang into action to pass the bill last week, months after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. CBS's Deborah Alfarone reports from the White House.
A star-studded event on the South Lawn of the White House as President Biden signed the bipartisan Respect for Marriage Act into law. The landmark bill ensures same-sex and interracial marriages are recognized in every state should the Supreme Court decide to overturn key decisions legalizing those unions in the future.
Marriage is a simple proposition. Who do you love? And will you be loyal to that person you love? It's not more complicated than that.
Advocates who pushed Congress to enshrine those rights into law were among thousands in attendance for the celebration.
With courage, fortitude, and unbreakable unity, we have achieved a landmark victory in the fight for full equality.
Thank you for fighting for our equal humanity and dignity.
While the bill provides a safety net for same-sex and interracial couples, President Biden says that more work needs to be done to protect members of the LGBTQ+ community from discrimination and violence.
We have to speak out. We must stop the hate and violence, like we just saw in Colorado Springs, where a place of acceptance and celebration was targeted for violence and terror.
Back in 2012, President Biden famously declared his support for same-sex marriage. 10 years later, he's vowing to continue his legacy on gay rights and bring pride to the White House. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, the White House.
The Respect for Marriage Act does not force states to issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples. An independent federal agency is calling on Congress to help prevent college students from taking on too much debt. The Government Accountability Office says most colleges fail to provide all the financial information students need. Prospective college students usually receive a financial aid letter once they are accepted. The letters list costs, grant awards, and federal loans, but have long been criticized as being complicated. The report comes as President Joe Biden's student loan forgiveness program, which would cancel up to $20,000 in debt for millions of borrowers, remains blocked by federal courts. The U.S. government is falling financially. The officials with the Treasury Department say the nation had a $249 billion monthly budget deficit last month. That's a 30% hike from the year before. Federal budget outlays also rose, increasing $28 billion in November. As for the 2023 fiscal year, which kicked off last month, the U.S. government has a deficit of $336 billion, $20 billion less compared to the span from a year ago. Politicians are working to come up with a solution to avoid a potential government shutdown. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell addressed the issue today with the media after a Senate Republicans' weekly policy lunch.
And with regard to funding the government, I think we're very close to getting an omnibus appropriation bill that would be, I think, broadly appealing. Finally, I would say this needs to be finished no later than late evening on the 22nd. We intend to be on the road going home on the 23rd. We intend not to be back here between Christmas and New Year's. And if we can't meet that deadline, we'd be happy to pass a short-term CR into early next year.
Well, the one-time king of crypto was arrested in the Bahamas. Sam Bankman-Fried is facing 8 criminal charges in the U.S., including wire fraud and conspiracy following the collapse of his company this fall. Billions of dollars remain unaccounted for in a case that's casting a shadow over the entire crypto industry. CBS's Skylar Henry reports from Washington.
Sam Bankman-Fried, the former CEO of failed cryptocurrency exchange FTX, is charged with stealing billions of dollars from his customers.
He used that money for his personal benefit, including to make personal investments and to cover expenses and debts of his hedge fund, Alameda Research.
In addition, prosecutors allege the 30-year-old made tens of millions of dollars in illegal campaign contributions.
And all of this dirty money was used in service of Bankman-Fried's desire to buy bipartisan influence and impact the direction of public policy in Washington.
Bankman-Fried is also in hot water with the Securities and Exchange Commission. In a parallel civil complaint, the SEC accuses the FTX founder of defrauding investors, in part to buy real estate for himself and his family.
Bankman-Fried raised more than $1.8 billion from equity investors on the basis of lies.
Bankman-Fried was scheduled to appear before a House committee today and answer questions under oath about the failure of his company and the shockwaves it sent through the digital currency industry.
Unfortunately, the timing of his arrest denies the public the opportunity to get the answers they deserve.
Bankman-Fried made a court appearance in the Bahamas Tuesday. His lawyer says he's reviewing the charges and considering options. Prosecutors say extradition proceedings are underway. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Washington.
Bankman-Fried has a right to contest his extradition, which could delay but probably not stop his transfer to the United States. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, holiday spending can quickly add up. So do you have a plan to pay it off? A financial expert's advice on the best ways to pay off your seasonal debt.
Plus, watching showers and storms blossom to our south and west, and those could be in our region soon. Breaking down the latest chances on our First Alert Weather Day coming up after this.
WYMT News app offers alerts on breaking stories as they happen.